Welcome to RE Uncut. Our daily shows are supported by Printforce, Sure Agents, Rockend and CoreLogic.
There's so much you can learn from history, from experience, and believe me, it's a lot less painful if you learn from someone else's experience other than your own. That's actually what we're sharing with you this week. Daniel Argent is from UrbanX, and as I indicated at the start of the week, he went through the GFC, learned a lot of great lessons that he's now helping us apply as we go through this terrible situation with the coronavirus. Daniel will join me in just a moment and talks about the big change, the gutsy change that he had to make when he made it and what he did. He's back in with me in just a moment.
Outsourcing will dramatically improve your productivity and profitability. Sure Agents have created a staffing solution to provide great staff who can perform duties in property management, sales, marketing and administration, and at a fraction of the cost, giving you and the team more time to spend on the dollar productive tasks. With rising costs and slowing revenue, the focus must be on value for money. Check it out, sureagents.com.
Daniel Argent from UrbanX, my guest this week. And Daniel, as you already know, has been through the GFC. And if you can remember that, you know how tough it was. And just reflecting from earlier in the week, we were talking about Daniel's sales dropping by a quarter. He went to a quarter of what he was used to and still had the same expenses. So how did he overcome that? One of the big decisions he had to make was to go it alone. G'day, Daniel. How are you doing?
Hey, Kevin, I'm great. Thanks. How are you?
Good, mate. Share this part of your experience with us. What happened?
Yeah, so Kevin, basically, I could see the writing on the wall. It was 2011. The GFC had already been well and truly happening in America and other places for a while. But, during 2009, 2010, we just kept going from strength to strength. But the writing was on the wall. And so in 2011, January 2011, right as Brisbane was flooding, so there was very much both a financial crisis and an environmental crisis. Obviously, right now we're seeing a financial crisis and a health crisis. Those two things combined, and the GFC finally started to hit our shores in Australia. And boy, did it come. When it came, did it come with a vengeance. I went from selling one property per week to selling one property per month. And we've already outlined so far this week on how I did that and how I still managed to achieve one sale a month, because there were plenty of people that weren't even doing that. Unfortunately, even with carrying twice as many listings as normal, I was only getting a quarter of the sales that I was used to. And that was going to have an enormous impact on my income. And so I made the decision that it was time to actually leave the agency that I was working for and go out on my own. And the reason that I decided to do that, Kevin, was because coming into 2010, I was writing $700,000 a year GCI and losing $300,000 of that to the agency I was working for. And I'm sure many people watching and listening to this program today are going to be in exactly the same position. The numbers might not be the same, but I'd almost guarantee the percentages are. And I thought, well, the number one difference that I can make here is by cutting out the $300,000 a year that I'm paying to an agency. That's the number one difference that I can make. And I thought, even if my business drops by $300,000 a year, I'm still going to be in exactly the same position as I was pre-GFC. Best case scenario, it doesn't, and I'm even better off. And so, Kevin, I made the decision to actually resign from the agency that I worked for in 2011, and for no other reason than that. It wasn't that I was unhappy at the agency that I was working for. I worked there for 7 years. I'm still grateful to this day for the 7 years that I spent there. The people that I worked with were great. What I learned was great. But ultimately, it was survival of the fittest, and I had to look after myself. And so, Kevin, with kind of that looming $300,000 a year in savings, I made the decision to leave and start my own business. And boy, oh boy, was it the best thing I ever did. Sales did drop off drastically.
Why is that? What happened? What caused the drop off? Was it that people didn't go with you? Did your listings go with you?
Great question. The only reason that sales dropped off was because the sales in the market dropped off. No different from the period that we're coming into now. And right now, it's still not too bad. We're still getting transactions every single day. But we are entering a period where it's going to get real tough. And, with the unemployment numbers growing rapidly, we've got to be realistic and we've got to be prepared for it. We need people to have jobs to be able to buy properties. So to answer your question, no, not a single person that I dealt with over the previous 7 years did not follow me. Not one did not follow me. Every single person said, no, Dan, we've already worked with you for years. Happy to continue working with you. It just changed nothing. And I remember I resigned on a Friday, and on the Saturday, the next day, I signed up listings that I'd been talking to for a while, and I actually even sold one. So that was the biggest fear. I've been at one agency for 7 years. If I leave, will my business drop? And in the end, that lure of $300,000 was what got me over the line. But then what really cemented my position as being a smart decision was the fact that every single one of my clients did follow me, and I was able to keep so much more of my commission. And so I guess by working for myself, Kevin, can I just say the only reason I'm still in the industry is because of that decision. My income plummeted. I had expenses that were fixed and I couldn't get rid of, and the ratio of money in versus money out changed a lot. And I used to always maintain a bank balance up until that point of $100,000, which I know is a tidy bank balance, but that's what I always wanted to keep, as a commission-only agent. I just always wanted to prepare for that rainy day. Over that 2011, 2012 GFC years, that dropped to a balance of $5,000. And that was with me keeping all of my commission. If I had been working for an agency and giving away 40 or 50%, I absolutely would have gone broke during that period. And what happened, Kevin, was that I literally just scraped into the start of 2013, literally just scraped into when the market started to rebound at the start of 2013. And I remember it well because I remember I had 1 month's money left in the bank, and I was, hyper aware of that. And the market turned. And I was carrying so many listings, Kevin, so many, maybe 20, 25 listings as the market turned. And the minute the market turned, I got all the first sales because I had so many listings. All of a sudden, inquiries started to increase. I started to get multiple offers on properties, and I experienced the very start of the turn of the market. And in that first year of the market rebounding, which was 2013, I had 250% year-on-year growth, and I bounced out the other side of the market, and I've never had a year of backwards growth since then. But if it wasn't for the fact that I worked for myself during those GFC years, I kept all of my commission. Instead of giving half of it away, I would not be still here today, Kevin.
Yeah, and I do think the other point too is that you did those activities right at the start as well. That was not negotiable, that you'd have to make 20 connections. And the point I want to make here just before I leave you today is that activities come a long way before results. Put the activities in today, keep doing them if you believe in them, and you've got to believe in them, and the results will eventually. You're living proof of that. Mate, I want to talk to you about the other challenge tomorrow, just to round this series out, because it's one thing to say, okay, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to do my own, I'm going to have my own business. I'm going to work on my own. What about the brand? You're going to move from probably what is a good brand, you're going to have to establish your own. I want to talk about the challenges that you had there. My guest is Daniel Argent from UrbanX. He'll join me again tomorrow. We'll talk about that. Daniel, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for your time.
The daily RE Uncut shows are supported by Printforce, Shore Agents, Rockend and CoreLogic. RE Uncut is one of the anchor shows at retplus.com, the home of property.